Maybe if you could hear, you'd know how annoying you are." The man's voice cut through the air like a knife. The restaurant froze, forks mid-air, eyes wide, but before anyone could speak, a young black waitress stepped forward, staring straight at him. Her words were calm, but sharp enough to silence the entire room. "Sir, she can't hear you, but the rest of us can. And right now, it's you making the noise." The Marigold Bistro was one of those glittering restaurants where laughter was polite, smiles were staged, and every table smelled like wealth. For most people, it was just dinner, but for Vanessa Clark, it was survival. She worked double shifts, cleaned tables after hours, and sent every spare dollar home to her mother, who had lost her hearing years ago. To the customers, she was just a waitress. To her, every shift was a chance to prove she was more than the uniform they ignored. That Friday evening, the restaurant hummed with expensive chatter until the doors opened, and silence fell. A woman entered. Elderly, graceful, wrapped in quiet dignity. Her silver hair shimmered beneath the chandelier lights. Whispers spread. "Is that Evelyn Grant?" "Yeah, the billionaire's grandmother." Vanessa noticed immediately. Evelyn's eyes scanned the room carefully, her movements slower, deliberate, like someone feeling the world rather than hearing it. The hostess, nervous, handed Vanessa the order slip. "Table 12, yours." Vanessa nodded. Vanessa approached the table with her practiced smile. "Good evening, ma'am. What would you like tonight?" No response. Vanessa tried again, a little louder. Still nothing. From the corner booth, a man in a designer suit, early 30s, phone in hand, looked up, annoyed. It was Lucas Grant, Evelyn's grandson. He called out, "She's deaf, sweetheart. Try waving or something." The tone, dismissive, patronizing, drew a few awkward laughs. Vanessa froze, but then she did something unexpected. She smiled, pulled a notepad from her apron, and began to write. "Good evening, ma'am. I'm Vanessa. May I take your order?" Evelyn's eyes softened. She smiled back, and her hands trembled as she wrote, "Thank you, dear. No one has ever written to me before." As Vanessa took her order, the two began exchanging notes, short messages, full of warmth. When Evelyn struggled to describe a dish, Vanessa doodled little sketches, soup bowls, teacups, cakes, until the woman laughed silently, shoulders shaking, across the room. Lucas watched, irritated. He muttered, "What is she doing?" "She's wasting time," but Evelyn's smile only grew wider. She wrote one more note. "You have kind eyes, Vanessa. Remind me of someone I lost long ago." Vanessa bowed her head, trying not to tear up. She didn't know this woman, but she felt something. A pull, like shared loneliness wrapped in grace. Moments later, Lucas stormed to the counter. "Why is my grandmother being served by her?" He snapped at the manager. The manager stammered, "Sir, she's our best waitress. Then she should know better than to make my grandmother right." Vanessa heard him. Her heart sank. Not from the insult, but from the ignorance. Still, she kept her composure and walked toward him. "Sir," she said calmly, "I wasn't making her right. I was letting her speak." Lucas's jaw tightened. "Do you have any idea who I am?" Vanessa didn't blink. "No, sir, but I know who she is, and she deserves better than to be treated like she's invisible." You could have heard a pin drop. Evelyn watched the confrontation unfold, her wrinkled hands clutching the notebook tightly. Finally, she stood, trembling slightly, and wrote something down. She handed it to Vanessa, who read it aloud softly. "You remind me of my daughter, the one Lucas never met. She lost her hearing when she was 5, and I lost her soon after." The room gasped. Lucas's face paled. "Grandma." Vanessa looked up, tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to." Evelyn shook her head, smiling gently. "No, my dear, you didn't open an old wound. You gave it voice." Again. Vanessa placed a hand over her chest and signed something with graceful movements. slow and respectful. Her fingers formed the sign for I. Understand. Evelyn's eyes widened. Then she began to sign back, hands trembling, forming a word that made Vanessa freeze. Family. Tears welled in both their eyes. For years, no one had spoken to Evelyn in her own language, and now, this young waitress, this stranger, had not only served her dinner, but dignity. Lucas stood speechless, guilt flooding his face. He turned toward Vanessa. You know sign language?" She nodded. "My mother's deaf. She taught me before she passed." Evelyn placed her hand on Vanessa's. Her lips moved silently. "Thank you." Lucas's eyes glistened. "I never learned," he said quietly. "I didn't even try." Vanessa smiled softly. "It's not too late. She's been waiting for you to listen." From that night, everything changed. Lucas hired Vanessa privately as his grandmother's companion, not out of pity, but respect. Together, they spent evenings signing stories, laughter silent but full. Vanessa taught Lucas how to speak through hands, not just for his grandmother, but for every moment he'd missed in Evelyn. She called Vanessa the daughter I never got to keep. Months later, at the opening of the Grant Foundation for the Hearing Impaired, a crowd gathered under glittering chandeliers. Vanessa stood on stage beside Lucas and Evelyn. Nervous but proud, Lucas stepped to the microphone. "This foundation exists because of one woman, someone who reminded us that kindness is louder than any voice." He gestured to Vanessa. "She didn't just serve my grandmother dinner. She served her peace." The crowd rose in applause. Evelyn, tears streaming, raised her hands and signed. "Thank you." Vanessa smiled and signed back. "You're welcome." When the lights dimmed and the crowd left, Vanessa stood alone on the balcony. Evelyn joined her quietly. Placing a soft hand on her shoulder, she pointed to the stars, then signed, "My daughter is proud of you." Vanessa's throat tightened, "And I'm proud to have met you." For a long moment, they stood in silence. Two women, generations apart, connected by something stronger than sound. Understanding. Sometimes, the most powerful voice in the room belongs to the one who can't speak. And sometimes, the greatest heroes aren't the ones with wealth or fame, but those who look, see, and listen when no one else does. Vanessa didn't just serve a meal that day. She served humanity. Comment below, would you have stood up like Vanessa did? Where are you watching from? Subscribe for more cinematic stories that remind us. Hearing is a sense, but listening is a choice.